guys, welcome back to my channel. This is ReneeLouise.Tech, and on this channel we do a lot of tech content, motivational content for your career and life, and also some lifestyle content as well, because I am very much into my health and wellness. So if you're new here, make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you stick around, because we have so many amazing plans for 2025. We are literally a few days away now. Today is the 30th of December that I'm filming this, and yeah, we're going to be in 2025 in literally 2 whole days. So today is a very special day because I'm introducing a new series to the channel, and this is episode 1, and this series is called the Come Up Diaries. And I'm so excited about it because this is my way of being quite vulnerable with my journey of pursuing multiple things within the tech world, from my career in software engineering to building out my personal brand, community building, and also entrepreneurship as well. So I definitely want to let you in on the journey. I'll be taking you behind the scenes and sharing with you a monthly recap, once a month, at the end of every month, exactly what my key focus areas were for that month, how I progressed towards the key focus areas, some of the struggles I had, the lessons learned, and what could have gone better as well. So that is how we're going to be doing this series. So make sure you tune in every single month, and weekly as well, because I have weekly videos every Sunday. So make sure you do that too. That's not part of the series, but please do check that out because it is very valuable content. And yes, so we're going to get straight into today's video, which is going to be focusing on December 2024 and the key focus areas there. Just to be super clear about what my priorities were this month of December 2024, first and foremost, it was building out my personal brand. Secondly, and very close second, was building out my tech product, Develoop.sh, which I have been doing for the last few months. And thirdly, I wanted to just maintain strategic progress on Blaq Byte. There was not too much being done there, it was more so just maintaining. So let's get into the progress of each of these key focus areas and some of the things that went well and what could have gone better. So let's start with building out my personal brand, ReneeLouise.Tech. So, first things first, I'm on YouTube. I've stepped out of my comfort zone and I've launched my YouTube channel. I now have 2 videos. This will be the 3rd on the channel. And that is something that is a huge win for the ReneeLouise.Tech brand. We want to expand our reach and make sure that we are building in public as well. So launching the YouTube channel and being consistent with the content thus far has been a huge win for the ReneeLouise.Tech brand, and I'm super excited about that. So another thing that went well for building out the ReneeLouise.Tech brand this month has been actually understanding what kind of branding I want. Understanding my mission statement and getting clear on that, which I did by just thinking about the kind of content that I want to put out, what kind of emotions do I want my viewer to feel when they're watching and listening to anything that I put out there, and how do I want to be showing up as well. So getting clear on that has been super useful. And my mission statement is I want to inspire people from diverse backgrounds to pursue careers in tech unapologetically. I want them to know that they can thrive in this space, excel while wearing multiple hats, and embrace being unapologetically themselves. And one way that I'm doing this is by making sure that I'm getting the language that I'm communicating with my viewers and my audience right, especially on my Instagram biography, as well as my YouTube description and anywhere else that I am showing up, for example, TikTok. So I wanted to make sure that I was using outward focused language to give people a reason to actually follow me and engage with my content and understand that, hey, when I come across this page, this is where I'm supposed to be, and this is the content that I needed. So you'll probably see that now once you go onto my Instagram and you see my biography, as well as my TikTok and also my YouTube, which I've kept quite consistent across the 3. That is kind of the energy I want to give, and I hope that I'm doing well in that, because I have been putting in some effort into ensuring that my thumbnails, even for my YouTube videos, are clear on that. And speaking of content creation, this is another area that I feel went really well for building out the ReneeLouise.Tech brand, because I sat down and I meticulously and extensively have planned out the majority of my content for Q1. And this is going to be across YouTube, Instagram, and also TikTok and LinkedIn as well. And how I planned my Q1 strategy was I first decided, what do I actually want to be sharing on this channel? And more importantly, how often will I be sharing on this channel? And when I did the math, I realized that I wanted to post at least once a week on YouTube, besides my behind the scenes, which is coming out every single month, and that kind of lends to itself. But I needed to plan out the content for the once a week that I was going to be posting in Q1, and I've done that now. And I know that that sounds like quite a lot of content, but in 2025, we are working smarter and not harder, and I've identified several areas where I can repurpose my content onto the different platforms. YouTube being, of course, the main platform where I'm going to be filming all of my content, and then I'll be taking snippets from there to post it onto my TikTok, my Instagram, and also make LinkedIn posts out of the content that I'm sharing on my YouTube anyway, and posting it onto LinkedIn. And of course, I'll be using ChatGPT to help me with that as well. I've even started creating some of those LinkedIn posts, and I'm quite excited to roll this out in the new year, which is coming very soon. So stay tuned and make sure that you are keeping up with all of the content that is going to be coming out, because consistency is key. So if you haven't watched the video that I just put out, make sure that you go and watch it, guys, because this is key for having a successful career and life in 2025. Quick shameless plug on content I've already created. So another thing that went well for building out the ReneeLouise.Tech brand is that I was able to set up a few coffee dates within the space with some inspirational women who I definitely would like to build relationships with, and who are also in similar positions as me, but some of them are just killing it in different areas that I want to also kill it in. So being able to sit down with them in 2025 and pick their brains and, you know, share knowledge, I am really excited about, and I will keep you guys in the loop with how that goes. So another thing that went well is finding a volunteering opportunity, because I did say in my very first video that I wanted to volunteer either in December, but I don't think that's going to happen now, but it will definitely be in January, at least within the first 2 weeks. I'll volunteer for at least a day, lending my skills to an organization. And how I went about this is I signed up to the Royal Voluntary Service, which is something that I found online, and I chose a position, which thankfully they had a virtual position, because right now I'm not as mobile as I'd like to be. So I chose a voluntary position, I applied to it, I had to fill out my details. I then had to download an app on my phone to verify my ID, and I am now in the process of scheduling my training for this position and also getting onboarded to the whole volunteering aspects of things. So I'm quite excited to be able to do that, and I'm hoping that that's something that I can do more regularly now that I know that it's virtual, because sometimes a barrier to my volunteering is the logistics of things. So if it's virtual, I can see myself being able to do that a little bit more in 2025, so I'll keep you guys in the loop with how that goes. And last but not least, another area that went well is just being more active on Instagram. I have posted my very first reel on my Instagram account, which has received such a great response. Thank you so much to everyone who is supporting and sharing and liking and commenting. It's given me such a boost of confidence, and it's what I really need, especially starting this out newly. And I'm so excited to be able to bring more of that type of content to you guys, which will definitely be coming in 2025. And make sure you go ahead and check out the reel on my Instagram, ReneeLouise.Tech. So now that we've gotten the what went well for building ReneeLouise.Tech, let's get into what could have gone better. So one thing that could have gone better is definitely filming in real time. Guys, let me tell you, I really tried to assemble my camera and take you on the journey with me in real time, where you can see everything that is happening as it's happening. But I really struggled in that department, because I just found that it was really starting to slow me down. I was definitely hoping for a more vlog style of content for this series, and who knows, we could evolve into that once we get better at this part, but I would say that that is something that needs to improve. I just found it was a little bit difficult taking you guys with me in real time on the journey of completing my tasks, because setting this camera up and making sure that it's, all ready to go is a task in itself. And I just mean that for my YouTube content, to be honest. I find filming behind the scenes a lot easier for Instagram and TikTok because my phone is a lot more portable. It doesn't take much to set it up on my tripod and film myself. So if you go to my Instagram, you'll definitely be able to see that first reel, which is a behind the scenes, but I also want to be able to do better at filming the YouTube behind the scenes as well. So another area that I think could have gone better with the building of ReneeLouise.Tech brand is not over analyzing my content. I found that I spent a lot of time this month just analyzing and over analyzing my content, and sometimes it was in a positive, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just created this, but then there were other times where it was also like, I don't like this, I'm looking for errors and looking for issues with my content that I've already created. And in both cases, I just want that to end because it's a waste of time, and whatever I've created, it needs to go out and I need to move on to the next thing quickly and much quicker than I have done. So that is something that I definitely want to get better at going forward. So to help with this area, I have added focus to my prayer points, because that is something that I definitely need a lot more of. And if I can just focus and, ask God for some more confidence and some more fearlessness in ferociously putting things out and not caring too much about things that don't really matter, I'll be able to move at a faster pace in building this brand, and I'll be able to be more productive with my content creation as well, because I wouldn't be spending so much time consuming, I'll be spending time producing. This ties into the next area that I want to improve on, which is just overcoming any insecurities that I might have, which is causing me to be so overly analytical of all of my content that I'm producing. In terms of the positive analysis versus the negative analysis that I'm doing, it's probably about 80-20, like 80%, oh my God, Renee, you're so amazing. 20% like, ooh, is that part okay? Is that part okay? Type of thing. Like, ooh, is your hair like looking a bit bumpy there? Which just does not matter. So I just want to get better at, increasing my confidence and getting comfortable in front of the camera, not doing too many retakes, because at the end of the day, I want this to be raw, candid. And also, we've got a lot of content to produce, so there's just no time to be too overly analytical and to be a perfectionist when it comes to this. So that is a wrap for my reflections for building the ReneeLouise.Tech brand. And now let's move on to the reflections for building out Develoop.sh. And for those of you that don't know, Develoop.sh is my first tech product that I have been building out for the last few months, and I'll be sharing what went well and also what could have gone better. So let's start with what went well. What went well in December was that I was able to run some user testing sessions in the beginning of December, and this is the first time I have coordinated my own user testing sessions. I've been part of many during my career as a software engineer, but this is the first time that I'm coordinating it for my own tech products. And I thank God for my experience with user testing in my career, because that helped me immensely with being able to conduct this and run this and lead the entire initiative of getting feedback on my prototype. And the way that I went about executing on these labs was making sure that I had some form of landing page for Develoop.sh that allows people to sign up to get early access to the platform. I then promoted it on my Instagram account and said, hey guys, I'm running some user lab sessions. Do you want to join to give some feedback to evolve the experience? And I also put it on LinkedIn as well. So by doing that bit of outreach of sharing that, hey, you can go to Develoop.sh and sign up for the labs, I had people coming in literally in flocks to share that they wanted to join the labs. So I was super grateful for the support from the community, and thank you to everyone that took part in that. We are about to run labs again in 2025, January, between the 3rd and the 10th. So again, if you want to get involved, go to the website Develoop.sh and get early access, fill out the form, and we'll definitely get back to you. I feel like the feedback that I got from the labs was so useful in being able to help me shape the vision for Develoop. I was able to hear from real users about which parts that they found useful, which parts they did not understand, that weren't intuitive enough, which parts they think were a little bit useless, and they even gave me more ideas for the platform as well. So it was super, super valuable, and that is something that I'm super happy that went well with Develoop.sh, and it gives me confidence about its success. Of course, there's a lot of work to still do, but I definitely feel more positive and confident about the idea and the execution of this idea, given that I've now validated some of the concepts that I had in my mind. So another thing that went well for the building of Develoop is that I was able to create a project board with all of the feedback that I gathered from the labs, and I broke them down into mini tasks, or tickets as we call them, and I've put them on a GitHub project board. Seeing as GitHub is where my source code is being hosted, I said to myself, let me just use GitHub project board, which now I have clarity on exactly what needs to be picked up and a mechanism for being able to track the progress of each of these tasks. So another thing that went well when building out Develoop.sh was the fact that I didn't let any setbacks stop me. My very first lab that I ran was literally a lab from hell. I was sitting in on a call with a lovely UX engineer who was so skilled and giving me so many amazing ideas, and I was getting really into it. I had my notepad, my pen out, and I just ran into several technical difficulties. And a lot of the reason why I ran into those technical difficulties is because I hadn't actually deployed Develoop to an environment, and how I was running the labs was I was getting the user to control my screen while I shared it on my local environment, because that was the only place it was working at that time, which is a lesson that I've learned now, but that was something that I was proud of, the fact that I didn't let that stop me from running all of the other labs. I did have to jig around the schedule for the labs just a little bit, just so that I had a bit of time to resolve the issue that I had, so that it didn't happen with anyone else. And sure enough, it didn't happen with anyone else. And I kept going, and I didn't let that knock me, because I think it really could have knocked my confidence, given that this was the first time I was conducting labs on my own. And, you know, I really wanted it to go off without a hitch, but the very first lab, already there was issues. But thankfully the rest of the labs went really, really well, and I've been able to reschedule my lab with the lady who I had the technical difficulties with, and we'll be doing that in early Jan. So that is definitely a win for Develoop.sh as well, and I think that it's important to have resilience and just not let anything stop you or knock you when you're on this journey of building, because there's going to be so many issues that you run into and unexpected things that happen when you're building something. But it's about having that resilience to overcome it and keep going at breakneck speed, especially when you're starting something new. And don't let it get to your heart or your head. So another thing that went well was I was finally able to deploy the prototype to an environment. We have deployed Develoop to an environment! Thank you, Jesus. I made sure that I prioritized doing this after I ran into those first lab issues, and now it's available at a private URL, which I'll be able to share with my user testers during labs, and they will not have to control my screen from my local environment. And this will definitely help me to run smoother user testing sessions going forward, which is a huge win. I can't even tell you how huge of a win this is for the development of Develoop and how we are going to be progressing going forward. And another thing that went well for Develoop is that I was able to build relationships with people when I was doing these user lab testing sessions, because I spent a whole hour with them, we were able to converse. And one of the outcomes from the labs is that one of the amazing user testers has actually offered their skills to me on a voluntary basis to help me build out Develoop.sh, which is such an amazing thing. And this is the power of the community and the power of involving them in the building process as well. So that is what went well in December for Develoop.sh and the building of it. But let's get into some of the things that could have gone better as well. Firstly, what I've already touched on, which is the fact that I did not have Develoop deployed to an environment. So when I was running the first round of user testing sessions, it was a bit of a pain having to share my screen, and they had to remote control it, and I was running it in my local environment. It's not efficient at all, and it definitely can be prone to a lot more mishaps, technical difficulties and things like that, which we want to avoid when doing the testing sessions, because the main aim of these sessions is just to gather the feedback, and you can't do that when the app is messing up locally. But we didn't let that stop us, and now Develoop is deployed, so we're all good. So besides that, another thing that could have gone better with the building of Develoop.sh is if I were to have had some CI/CD in place and some tests. But of course, when you're building a prototype, these have been deprioritized just because I wanted to prioritize building out some features that I could validate in labs. And of course, building out CI/CD pipelines and tests can take some time. However, this is absolutely crucial before release, and I'll definitely be doing this as soon as I can, probably after the next set of labs that I'm running, to make sure that I speed up that release and deployment process. So yeah, that is something else that definitely could have gone better. So another thing that could have gone better with the building out of Develoop.sh is avoiding scope creep. And by scope creep, I mean I've agreed initially what I want to build for the MVP, and it looks like this, let's say. However, after all of the labs, all of the testing I've done, all the feedback I've received, all the ideas I'm getting as time goes on, this has now become this. And the scope has creeped from here to out here, if that makes sense. Hey ChatGPT, what is scope creep?
Professional terms, scope creep happens when the goals, features or requirements of a project expand beyond what was initially agreed upon, without adjustments to time, budget or resources.
So yeah, and I definitely think that scope creep could have been avoided if I was a bit more clear on exactly which features I wanted to focus on for the MVP and sticking to them. I think I had clarity on what that was, but as I got the feedback, I just said, nope, this needs to be included, nope, this needs to be included, and before you know it, now it's becoming just a bit too big. And the goal really, when you're building a product, should be to release as quickly as you can and as often as you can, and don't try to release everything at once. And I feel like that is kind of what's happening here. So I do need to revisit the drawing board in 2025 as soon as I can, and make sure that I get extremely clear on exactly what will be part of the MVP and what won't. So even though I can include all of the features that I really want to include in the first release, is it necessary, and what are the trade-offs of that going to be? That is something that I definitely need to do in 2025, revisiting the scope and deciding exactly what needs to stay, what needs to go, what can be left until a little bit later, and what would allow me to reach my goal of being able to release this at the end of January/early Feb. What can I do and do very well? I don't want to do everything to a subpar standard. I'd rather do a few things really well and then keep iterating and building and releasing as time goes on, which is what most startups actually do from what I've seen in the industry. And yeah, that is kind of how I plan to tackle that. So another thing that could have gone better is protecting some time to pick up tickets from the project board. I feel like my December just got increasingly busy. It's like my December got even more busy when I finished work for Christmas break, because I went into go mode for building out my personal brand, making sure that I'm planning myself well for Q1. And this takes a lot of time, guys. So I don't think I've actually coded at all since I've closed from work. And that is so unlike me. But it is understandable because I've had to make time for some of the other goals that I have for 2025 and making sure that I am planning and executing on these to relieve some pressure in Q1 and January especially, so that I can focus fully on coding and doing what I need to do for Develoop and my career. So that is the wrap up of what went well and what could have gone better for the building of my first tech product, Develoop.sh. And let's get into now the third focus area for this month, which is building out the Blaq Byte community. And this is going to be a lot shorter just because it wasn't as high priority as the other two on my list. And the most important thing I wanted to do here was just maintain. However, we can still definitely reflect on what went well and what could have gone better. So what went well with the building of my Blaq Byte community? Well, first things first, I was able to establish my Q1 content strategy. I've actually made quite a few posters already, which will be going out in the new year. And I'm really happy that I've been able to get ahead of this, because sometimes creating posters can take a lot of time. And again, this is something that could potentially be outsourced. However, because I'm still building and it's not actually generating any revenue, I need to make sure that I'm being as cost effective as possible, and that means I have to do these things myself. And when I'm doing this, I actually use Canva, and I have the premium model, which is, let me tell you, Canva's premium model is where it's at when it comes to creating things. They have so many amazing templates. That's literally how I create my thumbnails, my banner for YouTube, my everything, my posters for Blaq Byte. They have so many amazing things there, and it definitely helps me to speed up that process of creating posters. So yes, I'm really happy that I've been able to establish my Q1 content strategy, my posting schedule, and also get ahead of starting to create some of that content, which will be going out in the new year. So another thing that went well for Blaq Byte is being able to pinpoint opportunities for repurposing content. So for example, the last video that I put out on YouTube, which is 16 practical tips for success in your career and life in 2025, I will be extracting the audio and uploading it as a podcast episode, killing two birds with one stone. Again, it's about working smarter rather than harder, and there are quite a few other videos that I have planned for my YouTube channel, which I'll be able to do the same and have podcast content for Blaq Byte as well, because we have similar missions for the ReneeLouise.Tech brand and Blaq Byte. As you can imagine, helping diverse talent navigate and level up in tech, this works hand in hand. So this is something that I'm very happy that I've been able to do, and I feel quite confident that we can have some more consistency with the podcast in 2025 as a result. And speaking of the podcast, another thing that has gone well is that I've been able to identify some of the speakers that I want to get onto the podcast in 2025. I've already started reaching out to set up coffee dates with them, and I'll be able to introduce the idea to them, and hopefully they are on board with it too. So this is typically how I go about getting speakers to come onto my podcast. I either reach out to my community who are already there and we already communicate with each other, or if I don't know them, then I try to build a relationship with them, network with them a little bit more before introducing the idea of them being on the podcast episode. So make sure that you stay tuned in 2025, because I definitely have some amazing guests who will be coming on the channel. We're speaking in hope and faith that they will agree, but even if they don't, I still have a very extensive list who I will be reaching out to get them onto the podcast, to share their stories and empower the rest of our viewers and listeners to get into the tech space. So that brings me to the end of the reflections for the key focus areas for December. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this, and it's been insightful, it's been real, it's been useful for you, and you can see how you can achieve similar things and how you can probably learn from some of my mistakes as well. I'm super happy to have brought you this very first episode of the Come Up Diaries. And this is the reality of pursuing your goals. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, and you just have to keep going. So that brings us to the end of the reflections, guys. I am super excited to be able to bring you this first episode of the Come Up Diaries and be really raw and vulnerable with some of the wins and losses of this month and some of the things that I'll be doing to improve going forward. And yeah, make sure you tune in every single month at the end of the month, and also make sure that you're following us on all the platforms as well to help with this growth, because I want to be able to come back and share with you that, hey, we've actually done well. I want to use metrics and stuff like that as time goes on. But right now we're very much at the beginning stages of building out Blaq Byte, so make sure you follow Blaq Byte on Instagram and TikTok. Make sure that you are following ReneeLouise.Tech on also Instagram and TikTok, and also make sure that you are subscribing to this channel and keeping up with our progress updates for Develoop, Blaq Byte, and the ReneeLouise.Tech brand, and everything else that is to come. So by the time that this is out, we would have only one more day until 2025. So I want to wish you all an amazing 2025, a great start to the year, and I'm so excited for what's to come. Make sure you stay tuned for all that we are doing on this channel and in all of the other areas that we're building as well. Thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!